You're pouring 0W-20 oil into your engine because the owner's manual says so. But look at how thin this is. It flows like water. Now look at 5W-30. Noticeably thicker, more viscous, more substance. Manufacturers are telling you that 0W-20 is engineered for modern efficiency and optimal protection. But mechanics around the world are starting to call it something else: engine-killing water. And here's what should make you suspicious. The exact same engine in your driveway uses 5W-30 or even 5W-40. In Europe, Australia, and the Middle East. Same engine block, same bearings, same tolerances. But in North America, you're told to use oil that's 30% thinner. Why? Today I'm exposing the real reason manufacturers spec 0W-20. In North America, why thicker oils like 5W-30 and 5W-40 are making a major comeback among drivers focused on longevity, and whether the fear about variable valve timing damage from thicker oil is actually legitimate or just manufacturer propaganda. This isn't about ignoring engineering. This is about understanding why the engineering specs are different across regions and what that tells you about priorities. Let's get into it. Here's the technical reason manufacturers specify 0W-20 in North America. And it has nothing to do with your engine living to 300,000 miles. It's about CAFE standards, corporate average fuel economy regulations. The federal government mandates that each automaker's fleet must achieve a specific average fuel economy across all vehicles sold. If they miss that target, they pay massive fines, hundreds of millions of dollars. So manufacturers are under enormous pressure to squeeze every fraction of a mile per gallon out of every vehicle. Thinner oil reduces internal friction. When oil is less viscous, the engine doesn't have to work as hard to pump it through the system and to shear it between moving parts. That reduction in parasitic loss translates to slightly better fuel economy. How much better? Industry testing shows 0W-20 versus 5W-30 gains approximately 0.5 to 1% improvement in fuel economy. In EPA testing cycles, that might be the difference between 28 miles per gallon and 28.3 miles per gallon. Over a manufacturer's entire fleet, those fractional improvements add up to meeting CAFE standards and avoiding fines. But here's the question nobody's asking. Is that 0.5 to 1% fuel economy improvement worth the trade-off in long-term engine protection? Because there is a trade-off. Thinner oil provides a thinner protective film between metal surfaces. At high temperatures and under load, 0W-20 shears down more readily than 5W-30. Meaning the oil's viscosity decreases and film strength weakens. Metal parts get closer to metal-on-metal contact. Wear accelerates. For manufacturers, this trade-off is acceptable because most vehicles are only warranted to 60,000 miles for powertrain coverage. If your engine makes it through the warranty period without catastrophic failure, the manufacturer has succeeded. What happens at 120,000 or 150,000 or 200,000 miles is your problem, not theirs. They've already sold the car, met CAFE standards, and avoided fines. Whether your engine develops excessive oil consumption, bearing wear, or timing chain stretch at high mileage doesn't affect their bottom line. So the manufacturer specs 0W-20 to maximize fleet fuel economy for regulatory compliance, and you pay the cost in long-term durability. That's the fuel economy trap. Now let's talk about the overseas paradox, because this is where the conspiracy becomes undeniable. Take the Toyota 2 GR-FKS 3.5-liter V6 engine used in the Camry, Highlander, and Sienna. In North America, Toyota specifies 0W-20. That's what the owner's manual says. That's what the oil cap says. But look at the owner's manual for the exact same engine in Australia. Toyota Australia recommends 5W-30 for normal conditions and 10W-30 for sustained high-speed driving or towing. Same engine. Same internal components, same bearing clearances, different oil specification. Or look at the Toyota Land Cruiser with the 5.7-liter V8. In North America, the manual specifies 0W-20. In the Middle East, where these vehicles operate in extreme heat and harsh desert conditions, Toyota specifies 5W-40 and even 10W-40 for severe service. Same engine block, same pistons, same oil pump, but the oil viscosity recommendation is double what North American owners are told to use. Why the discrepancy? Because different regions prioritize different things. North America prioritizes emissions compliance and fuel economy to meet CAFE standards. Europe, Australia, and the Middle East prioritize durability and heat protection because those markets demand engines that survive extreme conditions and high mileage. The oil specifications reflect those priorities. This proves conclusively that engines designed for 0W-20 can absolutely run on 5W-30 or thicker without damage. If the engine couldn't handle thicker oil, Toyota wouldn't spec it in other markets. The variable valve timing systems, oil pumps, and bearing clearances are identical. The only difference is regulatory environment and market expectations. So, when North American Toyota owners switch from 0W-20 to 5W-30 and their engines run quieter, maintain oil pressure better, and show less wear at high mileage, they're not breaking the engine. They're using the same oil Toyota specs for that engine in other parts of the world. Now let's talk about what happens to 0W-20 under real-world stress, because this is where thin oil shows its limitations. Modern engines run hot. Turbocharged engines, high-compression naturally aspirated engines, and engines under load routinely see oil temperatures of 220 to 240 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. At these temperatures, oil viscosity drops. All oil gets thinner when hot, that's basic physics. But 0W-20 starts thinner than 5W-30, so when it heats up and thins further, it approaches the lower limit of effective film strength. Additionally, 0W-20 is more susceptible to viscosity shear. Shear occurs when oil is subjected to high mechanical stress, like between cam lobes and lifters or in piston rings under combustion pressure. The oil's viscosity modifier polymers break down, and the oil permanently loses thickness. This is measured as shear stability. Thinner oils like 0W-20 shear more readily than thicker oils like 5W-30 because they're closer to the edge of effective viscosity to begin with. Combine heat and shear, and 0W-20 can drop below its intended operating viscosity within a few thousand miles, especially in severe service conditions. That means for the second half of your oil change interval, the oil isn't providing the protection it did when fresh. The film strength between moving parts weakens. Metal surfaces get closer together. Wear accelerates. Now add fuel dilution into the mix. Modern direct injection engines allow fuel to bypass piston rings and contaminate the oil, especially during cold starts and short trips. Fuel is a solvent. It thins the oil even further. If you're running 0W-20 and you have 2 to 3% fuel dilution by mid-interval, your oil's effective viscosity is now lower than 0W-20. You're running something closer to 0W-16. The protective film is dangerously thin. This is why extended oil change intervals with 0W-20 are so risky. Manufacturers claim 10,000-mile intervals are safe, but that's based on ideal conditions. Highway driving, moderate temperatures, no severe service. In the real world, with heat, shear, and fuel dilution, 0W-20 is degrading significantly by 6,000 to 7,500 miles. Pushing it to 10,000 miles means you're running the last 2,500 to 4,000 miles on oil that's barely protecting your engine. I've seen oil analysis reports from engines running 0W-20 at 10,000-mile intervals. Total base number is critically low, indicating the oil's additive package is exhausted. Viscosity has sheared down out of grade. Fuel dilution is 3 to 4%. Where metals, iron, copper, lead, are elevated, showing accelerated component wear. This oil is failing to protect the engine, but the owner followed the manufacturer's recommendation exactly. Compare that to 5W-30 at the same interval. The thicker base viscosity provides more cushion against heat and shear. When 5W-30 shears and thins from use, it's still within effective viscosity range. Fuel dilution has less impact because the oil started thicker. The protective film between metal parts stays stronger throughout the interval. Where metals in oil analysis stay lower. This is why mechanics are seeing engines last longer on 5W-30 compared to 0W-20 in identical vehicles driven under similar conditions. The thicker oil simply holds up better under real-world stress. Here's where people push back. But won't 5W-30 damage the variable valve timing system? Won't it cause oil pump problems? Won't it throw codes? This is the fear manufacturers and dealerships use to keep people on 0W-20. And it's mostly nonsense. Modern VVT systems are more robust than people think. The solenoids and cam phasers are designed with tolerances that accommodate a range of oil viscosities. Yes, they're optimized for 0W-20 in North American specs, but that doesn't mean they can't function with 5W-30. Remember, The same VVT system operates on 5W30 or thicker in overseas markets with identical engines. The key is understanding that viscosity ratings are measured at specific temperatures. 5W30 means the oil behaves like a 5-weight oil when cold and a 30-weight oil at 100 degrees Celsius operating temperature. Once the engine is warm, which happens within a few minutes of driving, 5W30 flows easily through VVT passages, solenoids, and oil galleries. The difference in flow between warm 0W20 and warm 5W30 is minimal. It's not thick sludge clogging the system. The only scenario where 5W30 might cause issues is extreme cold starts in Arctic climates, below -20 degrees Fahrenheit. In those conditions, 5W30 is noticeably thicker than 0W20 during the first 30 to 60 seconds of operation, and cold start flow might be slightly restricted. But in normal climates and after initial warm-up, there's no functional difference in VVT operation. And here's the real-world evidence. Thousands of high-mileage enthusiasts have switched from 0W20 to 5W30 in engines like the Toyota 2GR, Honda K-Series, and Mazda Skyactiv, and they report no error codes, no VVT issues, and noticeably quieter operation. The engines run smoother because the thicker oil provides better damping of valve train noise and better film strength under load. If 5W30 was genuinely damaging these systems, we'd see widespread failures and check engine lights. We don't. Oil pumps are similarly non-issues. Modern variable displacement oil pumps adjust output based on demand. When you use slightly thicker oil, the pump works marginally harder, but it's well within design capacity. These pumps are engineered with safety margins to handle variations in oil viscosity across temperature ranges and wear over time. The difference between pumping 0W20 and 5W30 at operating temperature is negligible. So the fear about VVT and oil pump damage is largely theoretical and contradicted by both overseas specifications and real-world experience. Manufacturers push this narrative to keep you using 0W20 because that's what meets their regulatory and warranty requirements, not because thicker oil will destroy your engine. Here's my recommendation, and it's not one size fits all because your driving conditions and priorities matter. If you're leasing your vehicle or planning to trade it in at 60,000 to 80,000 miles, stick with 0W20. You're not keeping the car long enough for long-term durability to matter, and you want to stay within manufacturer specs for warranty coverage. Use 0W20, change it at 5,000 miles, and trade the car before high mileage wear becomes your problem. If you're keeping your vehicle for 150,000 miles or more, if you live in a hot climate, if you tow or haul regularly, if you drive aggressively, or if you prioritize a long-term engine health over fractional fuel economy gains, consider switching to 5W30. Use a quality synthetic 5W30 that meets or exceeds your vehicle's API and IILS-AC specifications. Change it at 5,000 to 6,000 miles. Monitor for any warning lights or issues, though I doubt you'll see any. If you're in extremely hot climates, desert Southwest, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Texas summer heat, and your engine allows it based on overseas specs, you could even run 5W40 during summer months for maximum protection under extreme heat. The key is matching oil viscosity to your actual operating conditions and longevity goals, not blindly following a manufacturer spec that's optimized for CAFE compliance and 60,000-mile warranty periods. Change your oil frequently, regardless of viscosity. Even the best 5W30 breaks down over time. Don't extend intervals beyond 6,000 to 7,500 miles. Fresh oil with adequate viscosity will always outperform old thin oil, regardless of what the bottle claims about extended life. Use quality synthetic oil from reputable brands. Cheap 5W30 isn't better than premium 0W20. The base stock quality and additive package matter as much as viscosity. Amsoil, Pennzoil, Ultra Platinum, Mobil 1, Motul, Redline. These brands formulate 5W30 with robust chemistry that provides real protection. Monitor your engine. If you switch to 5W30 and you get VVT codes or oil pressure warnings, switch back. But in the vast majority of cases, you won't see issues. You'll see quieter operation, more stable oil pressure, and better long-term wear patterns. Here's the bottom line. The0W20 specification in North America is driven by CAFE fuel economy standards, not by what's best for your engine's longevity. The same engines use 5W30 or thicker in overseas markets where durability is prioritized over emissions compliance. 0W20 provides minimal fuel economy benefit, less than 1%, but shears down more readily under heat and stress, providing weaker protection at high mileage. The fear about VVT damage from 0W-20 is largely unfounded and contradicted by overseas specs and real-world experience. If you're keeping your vehicle long-term, driving in hot climates, or towing regularly, 0W-20 provides measurably better protection with negligible downsides. Are you sticking with the manual and running 0W-20? Or are you switching to thicker oil for longevity? Drop a comment with your vehicle, your climate, and what viscosity you're running. And if this just exposed why your owner's manual might not be optimized for your engine's long-term health, hit that like button. Next week, I'm showing you oil analysis results comparing 0W-20 and 0W-30 in identical engines at 10,000-mile intervals. The wear metal data will shock you. If you're not subscribed, hit that button now. Drop a comment. I respond to everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.